Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Brewing with Jim. My name is Joseph.
And my name is Jim, and welcome back from me, too.
Indeed. This is a show where we get audience questions about all parts of life. Could be really anything, as today's question will indicate. And we just try to do our best to provide wisdom and insight into what our audience is thinking about. So, Jim,
Here we go.
Today's question's a big one. Should I join the military? I have never been affiliated with the military. Both of my grandfathers served, but we're lucky to have you on the microphone every day.
Lucky.
Particularly this episode. You are a veteran.
Yes, I am.
I am genuinely eager myself to hear your thoughts on this question. I want you to take it away.
This has to come from somebody who's thinking about it.
Yeah.
And I guess we're talking about the military in the United States.
I would hope they're not hoping to join like the North Korean military.
Well,
yeah.
I know. And I don't even know how to think about that or talk about that.
Sure.
The military, a lot of people would fear joining the military, I think, because they don't want to fight.
Yeah.
They don't want to die. They don't want to go to war.
Which is natural. I mean, that's a very good, very natural reaction.
Of course that is. I didn't join the military out of a great noble motivation to serve my country. I love my country.
Yeah.
I think about my freedom frequently because I have been in countries where there is little or no or reduced or diluted freedoms.
Yes.
And we are blessed to be here.
Absolutely.
There are many things wrong with this country.
Also,
but
absolutely.
I would join the military again.
Yes.
I did not have a clear picture of what it would be like to be in the military. I knew I wanted to be in the Navy. Now, I think when people, mostly men, but now an increasing number of women are in the military, when they think about that, they probably are thinking about a particular branch of the military that would suit an interest or their personality or the people join the Marines. Most of the guys that I know who join the Marines see themselves as tough guys.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm overloaded with testosterone. I am ready to go here.
Yeah.
And that's the most manly of all the branches.
Sure.
Well, it isn't.
Sure.
I joined the Navy because probably of stories I have read or things I have seen, it just seemed adventurous to me to be on the sea. But I joined the military because we had a draft at the time, and the Vietnam War was happening.
Yeah.
And we knew our draft numbers, and the draft numbers that were coming up for people to be drawn into the military, drafted into the military, were common knowledge. You could see them in the newspapers.
That's right. Yeah.
You could look them up. We didn't look them up on the computer. We didn't have computers.
Sure, yeah.
But and my number was coming up. Well, if a person was in college, and I was at the universities, then they would leave you alone. You had to be doing fine in college, but it came to the end of 4 years. I got a bachelor's degree. I guess I got 2 of them. And then I found out that if you stay in college another year, then you would be deferred and would not be drafted. You had to take a test to do that, and you had to be, okay, I did that. And then I got another bachelor's degree, which is what I did. And so then I went to the military, and I went as an officer.
Did you officially get drafted, or did you join
No, I did
later?
not. I avoided the draft
Okay.
because if you're drafted at that time, you went into the Army infantry
and
to the front lines for 2 years, and you were shot at.
Yes.
Yes, and you shot people. Now, I don't in any way disparage the people who did that. Thank God that they did that.
Yeah.
But joining the military requires adding an enormous amount of detailed discipline to your life. You will be told how to sleep and when you make the rack and how these corners are folded and how to fold your clothes and put them exactly right here. And you stand here and you get up at night for the mid-watch and with an empty rifle and guard a dumpster for 4 hours. And most of the people that I knew in high school and college weren't used to that kind of discipline. Now, I remember some people who came into the military and were in boot camp, really. They couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
They emotionally could not handle it. I've never had this discipline. Why are you yelling at me?
Right.
Why? Okay. I didn't have that problem. I was enlisted for a year and waiting to go to officer candidate school, and then went to officer candidate school and was commissioned and on a ship and so forth. The work is hard.
Yeah.
The play is hard.
Yeah.
Going on leave, the camaraderie of the people you serve with is the strongest I have ever seen. We, the Navy sailors and the Marines are at odds with each other, and we tease each other. But when it comes right down to combat, we are shoulder to shoulder in unity with each other. And that kind of a bond does not happen in most places.
Yep.
Now, I think that we can be elite almost to be in the United States military. We brag that we are the finest military in the world. The evidence is that we probably are.
We are.
We are.
We are.
There's no question about
Yes.
it. I was in Canada talking to someone about the military in Canada, and he says, well, strange you should mention that. It's only 3 guys and a dog. And I'm sure that's not true, but the legends of the Canadian military,
it's only 2 guys,
I've never
actually.
heard of. It's only 2 guys. And a chihuahua. I don't know. I think that there is great benefit in being in the military. You can spend 20 years in the military, retire, and have a pension.
Yep.
The benefits of being in the military are you have medical care for the rest of your life. You have shelter. You have food. You have all sorts of benefits that extend beyond the military if you are a veteran. Right. And those benefits are not available, in my awareness, of any other organization in the United States.
Yeah.
So, yes, you can do that. Now, you're 18 years old, you're graduating from high school, maybe you're just graduating from college. You join the military, you spend the 20 years, as one of my close friends did, and then he got out of the military. He was an air traffic controller in the Air Force. The day he got out was the day that President Reagan fired all the air traffic controllers in the United States.
Yes.
He went to DFW and was hired instantly as an air traffic controller, spent another 20 years there, and now has 2 pensions.
Yep.
And yes, and all the benefits.
It's pretty good.
Both of those careers. I think that the personalities that don't do well in the Navy are very few, because your personality will get changed.
Yeah.
You don't look like you used to look like because they will shave all your hair off when you go into officer candidate school or into boot camp. And everybody looks essentially the same. Of course, they're not exactly the same.
Of course, but yeah.
Okay, and then you are stripped down to your skivvies, and now everybody does look pretty much the same. And that stripping down is a stripping down of all of the attractions that you have become in the world. Now you're just like everybody else, and now we raise you up to obey, to and eventually to command, and to understand what the mission is. Now that's at the entry level. Should I join the military? And there's the Coast Guard, of course. Now we have the Space Force, and I know very little about the Space Force, but there of course is the Air Force and the Army and the Navy. And I would suggest yes, do it, unless you have some sort of a strong desire for a career that isn't in the military.
Sure.
But the military will pay for your schooling.
That's the thing. Yeah.
They will pay for everything. You have to pay back You don't get to join for 2 years and get a master's degree,
Right.
but you do. You may have to give 6 years. Well, you give 6 years, and maybe I'm on my way to 20,
Right.
or 30. So
Yeah.
I talk to very few people who regret that they were ever in the military. The benefits
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
outweigh any discomfort, and there is discomfort.
Right.
Oh, there's no question. There's discomfort.
Yeah.
But
A lot of sacrifices need to be.
a lot of
like-
sacrifices.
Yeah.
And the sacrifices, it takes me to one of the axioms in my life that all love requires sacrifice. Well,
Yeah.
if even love of country
Yeah.
requires sacrifice, love in marriage requires sacrifice, love of anybody. Look at Jesus
Right.
and his love and that sacrifice
Yeah.
that happened. So comfort is not something to be sought. It's something to be enjoyed, yes. I get that.
Yeah.
But we're not on earth to be comfortable. We're on
Yeah.
earth to serve. And just to Christianize this a little bit,
Right.
we're in a war too. We're
Sure.
in a spiritual war. We're in a war of morality here.
Yeah.
So I would say, should I join the military? Unless you are a rare exception, I would say yes. Now, physically, there are exemptions.
Of course. Yeah.
That yes, people with physical disabilities or issues of some kinds. No, you can't be in the military.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
my answer is yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
My thought on this too is like this question could, if I'm imagining from my perspective, I would ask this question from the perspective of a Christian as a conscientious objector. Like you said earlier, military, of course, has a huge connotation with like actual combat and like killing
Yes.
and stuff like that. And that's not something that I want to be a part of, just personally.
Right.
And so there's a sense in my head, and I remember thinking this like when I was 18 and stuff like that, of like, I just don't want to be in the military, like both because I am probably very scared of combat and I don't want to get shot at, but I also can't imagine myself pulling the trigger on another person. Like that feels wild and foreign and scary and bad.
If the other person is standing there with a gun in your face, then you would.
Yeah, probably.
Yes.
I would just prefer not to be in that situation.
Well, of course, I can understand
Yeah.
that. I'd much rather be at a picnic in a park with my family.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think something that I have, I think something too that's true to mention is the vast majority of roles and jobs in the military are not seeing active combat.
Absolutely.
And actually don't even have the opportunity to see active combat. It's logistics, it's mechanics, it's medics, it's, like
communicators.
communication.
Yes.
My goodness. I think logistics may even be
Even
the biggest
chaplains.
branch. Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually know a chaplain in the military. There's military police. There's, a bunch of stuff.
Yes.
There's people that do the maintenance and the IT work and the plumbing and the electrics on bases. Like there's, you know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
that's true. And all
there's
those
this
people have the
infrastructure.
same benefits.
That's right.
Yeah, and they're proud of the same uniform.
Yeah.
And they are learning the same disciplines. They
Yeah.
go through boot camp, too. They go through OCS.
That's right.
Officer Candidate School.
Yeah.
And so those are all, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I would say that the combat positions are probably in the in the lower numbers of
Yeah.
people who serve in the military.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But at the same time, when you swear an oath or affirm to follow an oath,
Right.
and you're sworn into the military, it is to combat, if necessary, to defend the Constitution of the United States and so
Sure.
forth.
Yeah.
And so that potential is there regardless of the role.
Yeah.
I can understand not wanting to have to pull a trigger and kill someone,
Right.
but at the same time, regardless of what you do in the military, you are supporting people who do that.
Sure. That's true.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so you're involved, even though you may not be directly with an immediate causation effect. Okay.
Should Christians in the military, or I guess it doesn't have to be in the military, but should Christians have any sense of like, I'm just going to say like blood on their hands or something like that? Like how does a Christian balance an oath to God's commandments. There's commandments like do not kill, right? Versus a demand by a military to say these are your orders.
There is
and
no
so
commandment,
on.
do not kill. There's the commandment, do not murder. And that's completely different. And Jesus was not a pacifist. He was not. And God is not a pacifist. He would pick up whatever is necessary to win the war. He armors us with righteousness and with the Word of God, the sword, and so forth. Okay, a Christian. A person can argue against not wanting to harm another individual, even if it's an enemy, but you can't do it biblically. There's no support for that biblically. You cannot do that under the guise of Christianity. That the evidence, the support, the base is just not there. The closest I came to being in combat, even though I am a Vietnam vet, but I am not a combat vet.
Right.
I was not in the trenches. I was not boots on the ground. I was in Da Nang Harbor.
Yeah.
And I was on a ship. And we, the captain and the XO, and I was third in command on the ship, both left the ship for meetings, and I was the highest ranking officer on the ship.
Yeah.
And we had to be very careful about the Viet Cong who were swimming in the waters in Da Nang Harbor, placing mines on the hulls of ship underwater. I had a gun in my hand, and the men on the ship had guns, walking around the gunnels of the ship looking for those people. If we had seen one of those people, we would have killed them.
Yeah.
To protect the ship, to protect all of us.
Certainly, yeah.
And we were at war.
Yeah.
So I did have a different feeling about that, but most of my time in the military was not like that.
Of course, yeah.
Heavy responsibility to con a ship out in the ocean, and we're at war with waves and weather and
Yes, that's right.
traffic, ship traffic, and so forth. The discipline that comes from being in the military is a discipline mindset that will be a benefit in a person's life the rest of their life.
Yeah.
So you get out, you spend just 2 years, or you spend 4 years having gone through that training and the attention to detail and the ability to follow commands. A person in the military is obligated to follow commands. There is a loophole as long as the command is not illegal.
Sure.
But
of course.
I never received an illegal command, and I received a lot of commands.
Yeah.
So that discipline, the benefits are pages and pages and pages.
Yeah.
The aesthetic of being in the military, that can be a little bit reluctant to want to get involved in that. It could even be repulsive to some.
That's fair.
But for those who it is repulsive, probably have had very little discipline at home. Have had very little discipline experience in their life.
Sure.
We see students occasionally who have almost no discipline, and we have to teach them discipline. It's rare, but it does happen, has happened, probably will continue to happen, that those people show up. Should they join the military? Sure. Yeah. Yes, but you're not going to be comfortable. You're going to have to change your attitudes and sacrifice, as
It'll be a huge adjustment.
So my answer to this question is, given all the rare but somewhat mentioned exceptions, yes, join the military.
Last question that I have on my head: how should a Christian who is in the military read the verse and the commandment of God to love your enemies? How does that merge with being in the military or something like that? How should that verse be interpreted, I guess?
Well, I think that verse, the context of that verse is when a person is in one-on-one conflict or in opposition with somebody. I think it in a personal way, or in a business way, or in a school way, or not when countries are fighting countries. There is a commandment as the that was given to some countries when the Israelites were going through the wilderness to the Promised Land. It was a 40-day trip that took 40 years. Well, that was because of disobedience, and they had to go through a land called Edom. Well, Edom was told to support them as they come through, house them, feed them, give them water. Edom didn't do any of those things. And he was not supportive of what they considered enemies. There are no Edomites walking around today.
Yeah.
They're gone.
Yeah.
You won't run into one at the bus stop. They're gone because they did not support their enemies.
Right.
Now, if we capture someone in conflict and we put them in a military brig or prison,
POW,
we still have an obligation to regard them as a human being made in the image of God, to be treated with dignity and with respect. That doesn't mean that they are not to be restricted. They are not, but we still feed. We still,
absolutely.
But we still provide basic needs, but we do not never get chummy with them necessarily.
Of course,
Love is not always mushy. Love is not always cushy. Love is not always just friendly and buddy. Love is can be strong, but we still have to have in our hearts the idea that I just mentioned, that they are human beings created in the image of God and deserving of love.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
How
amazing.
that love is manifested certainly varies.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think that's a good place to wrap this question. This question could go in, as we've already discovered, so many directions, and could be picked apart and expanded upon in a lot of ways. But just for time's sake, we'll have to move on to our second segment.
Okay.
This is a surprise Jim segment. Our second segment's always surprising Jim. So he doesn't know the question ahead of time. Jim, here's an interesting question for you.
I'll decide that.
If you had to ascribe chapter titles to different phases of your life, so chapter 1, like the life of Jim Brewington, chapter 1, blank, chapter 2, blank, what would you think they would be called, and then what chapter are you in now?
Oh, I'm in the last chapter, I think. I'm almost in the index. The appendix here. The appendix.
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't know if there's an appendix. Anyway, that's an interesting question, and I'm not sure. It just seems like, well, you would start with infancy.
I guess childhood.
Infancy. Elementary school is a whole different animal than being in infancy. Junior high and high school, those are different chapters too. I can tell you, being in this secondary education biz that we're in here, that freshman is a separate chapter than sophomore.
That's true, yeah.
And sophomores and juniors are different animals. That you just watch these people grow, or not grow, but grow in front of you. So high school would certainly be one. I'm going to come back and rename these chapters in just a second.
You're good, yeah.
But certainly my college life is different. And I'm not talking about my education. I'm talking about my schooling.
Yeah.
The college life, I went to Texas Tech University, then I went to the University of Iowa. Then a military life started. Well, military Navy life was completely different. I went to many schools. I went to cryptography school to learn to break codes and write codes and those kinds of things.
That's fascinating.
And a few other schools. After that, there is a gap in my life where I was out of the military and I didn't know quite what I was going to do, and I got into the restaurant business.
That's right.
One whole chapter, I don't know what would be, a large chapter would be married life.
Sure.
And then father. and all of these phases of my life.
Yeah.
Now, those are chronological. I just made those chronological. Then I got out of.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I'm still
That's
married.
That's a natural. Oh, sure.
Still married.
Yeah.
Married 53 years. And to the same woman.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, that's my first marriage.
That's awesome.
And we're still married. And that is a very long chronological part. But my maturity, my physical maturity was just normal, like everybody else's, I think. But my emotional maturity, I was pretty immature in junior high.
Sure.
And
Aren't most junior hires?
Well, yes, exactly. It's to be expected, even though it's frustrating.
Yeah.
When you, yeah. So I began to become more emotionally mature as I decided that I wanted to. I was a Christian.
Yeah.
I don't know when I became a Christian. I was born in a Christian home,
Yeah.
went to church from infancy. But when I decided to give my life to the Lordship of Christ, and I want you to run my life, and I don't want to run it anymore. Let's walk together here.
Yeah.
And then when I realized that, I was still immature spiritually as a Christian, but my whole life changed.
Yeah.
And my view of how things work changed. We call it worldview.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
my perception of other people changed, and that began to grow. That wasn't instantaneous. It was an event and a process, both. The event happened that I wanted to submit myself to the Lordship of Christ, even though I really didn't know what I was talking about. My heart was sincere.
Yeah.
And then I have grown in that so that I am more accepting of other people. I am more mature in the way I manifest love to
Yeah.
other people. I've learned how to do that. That's a skill.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
that, I think, is, I don't know how to call those chapters.
Sure.
but
No. Yeah.
I don't know. Let me just back up one thought here and say that my growing in Christ is probably another book, not just
Yeah.
a chapter.
Yeah.
And I have learned to do that fairly well, even though I think I'm inept still from time to time.
Sure.
Okay, there's that. Now, I think it's very important in the last chapter of a person's life when they become, I don't know what the age is. I'm in my 80s.
Sure.
And I do not want to quit. The idea of retiring, that word and that concept is not in the Bible anywhere.
Yeah.
And yet people work for it. People are pressured into it. I just can't imagine myself going home and being a test pilot for a Barca lounger for the rest of my life and wait to die.
Sure.
As you know, I work full time. We do a weekly podcast. I'm writing a book. I have a ministry.
You have a fuller schedule. You have a fuller teaching schedule than anyone on this campus. That is a literal fact. I'm not even hyperbolizing.
I know.
You teach 7 classes.
I teach 7 classes in 5 different courses.
5 total class periods is a full contract. You're at 7.
I mean, well, people have said if you teach 6, that's extended and you get stipends and so forth.
Yeah.
If you teach 7, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Don't
Well,
do
here
that.
you are.
and here I am, and I love it.
Yes.
I enjoy it. And sometimes I don't have time to write the way I want to write. And I have some physical issues that orthopedically I'm falling apart. I told you, I did way too much prayer. So both knees
That's
are
right.
shot.
That's right.
Both
Yeah.
knees are shot. I'm pertinent to the question, this chapter of my life, don't just write it off and close the book.
Right.
Be active. Keep moving.
Absolutely.
Keep serving. God is leaving me here for a reason. Then get with it.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
I can't imagine stopping and doing something. Doctors have told me, you have a very young body for your age. Mm-hmm. And I don't have any sense of that. I go back to medical school. I have a mirror at home. I know what. But I think my mind is fairly sharp.
Absolutely,
I can't remember
yeah.
some names sometimes,
Sure.
but okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to back off and be nothing.
Right.
And just wait. Oh,
I love it.
retirement. One guy told me one time, "What are you doing working? You belong on the golf course." Oh, I don't want to be on a golf course. I want to be here with these kids. And,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
I love it.
All right.
That's awesome.
Was
that
that
is
an
that
okay
was
answer?
wonderful. That was amazing. Thank you for walking through that. And we want to thank our audience, as always, for listening as well. To our audience, as always, we end with an invitation to reach out to us. We have
Please
an
do.
email address, brewingwithjim@gmail.com, that is set up for you to email Jim and me for any questions that you might want to ask us that you want us to answer on the show. If you want to reach out and tell us where you're listening from or how you heard about the show, we want to hear all of that. And so brewingwithjim@gmail.com is how to reach us. But with that, friends, thank you for another episode and another week, and take care.
Okay. I'll see you. I won't see you, but we'll talk to you next week.
That's right.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
This episode has been a production of the Capistrano Valley Christian Schools Podcast Network. CVCS is a Christian TK through 12 school in San Juan Capistrano, California. Please visit cvcs.org/podcasts to listen to the variety of shows our students produce on our campus. You can also find all of our shows on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and others. We would also appreciate you subscribing to and leaving a review of this show and the other shows on our network in your podcast player of choice. If you have any questions or would like to reach out to us, please email podcasts@cvcs.org. On behalf of the school, this is Mr. Jasper, the executive producer of the podcast network. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for more.